everybody! So today's Monday, that means it's time for family movie night, and this week we have the BFG coming out, so we are going to be talking about another Roald Dahl movie adaptation, and we're going to be looking at Matilda. It's probably one of Roald Dahl's most famous books. It certainly was one that I loved growing up. I think it is more popular, I think, than the BFG. I think the BFG is one of his more obscure books, although I did really enjoy that as well growing up. But it has a lot of sort of appeal to particularly girls, I think, because it's about a little girl who's sort of smarter and figures her way out of a really horrible situation. And she like I said, she outsmarts all the grown-ups, which is what you like as a kid. That's why you like Home Alone. Home Alone, he's smarter than all the adults. This was made in 1996 and is directed by Danny DeVito, who also stars in the film. And it's a pretty simple story, actually. It's about this little girl named Matilda. From the time she's born, she isn't really loved by her parents, and she's kind of treated as a nuisance, but she has a special brain and a special mind and intellect, and so she's curious about things. She learns how to cook on her own, she learns how to read on her own, and she starts really kind of finding her salvation in books, which is I think a really attractive quality of the character. She finds her way to the library and she reads and reads and reads and reads, and it's the thing that saves her from this horrible family, and her parents are horrible. And it's interesting because Doug Walker, the nostalgia critic, he does not like this movie at all, and he kind of, I think, feels the same way I feel about The Rescuers. He feels about Matilda, because it is about a lot of mean adults and that are mean to these kids. Similar to how I feel about The Rescuers, where you have all of these adults, you know, abducting and being horrible to a little girl. And so I kind of get where he's coming from, but the difference here to me between The Rescuers and Matilda is that where Penny in The Rescuers, she tries to escape, but she's unable to do so. She's really in no way smarter than any of the adults. She doesn't pull one on any of them. She is hurt by them. You know, when Medusa says that she's unadoptable and that a homely little girl, she cries. You know, you never get that sense in Matilda that the actions, the mean actions of the adults are having that kind of impact on Matilda. And you always feel like she is smarter than, like I said, than everybody else, and that she's going to win. And so it's sort of an underdog story in the end. And so she ends up finally being able to go to school, and she goes to school, and there's this horrible, hideous headmistress named the Trunchbull. She's played in this movie by Pam Ferris, and she is a beast. You do get too much Trunchbull. Like, that's the hard thing in a children's movie, is you have to very carefully balance the villain, because if you get too much of the villain, then it's going to feel mean-spirited and it's going to change the tone. If you get too little, then it's just kind of a throwaway, weak villain. And so that's really, really tricky to do. And a movie like The Wizard of Oz does it perfectly. Like, the Wicked Witch is in there just enough to make her really scary, and but not too much that it's mean and overbearing. So that's the hard part about this kind of thing. And I think they do give the Trunchbull too much time. But most of that time, the kids are smarter than the Trunchbull. Even in the scene where the kid has to eat the entire chocolate cake, they win. You know, they're cheering him. He does eat the cake. And so it's actually a win for the kids. And so I think that in that sense, that it still manages to keep its tone. And the art design is really great in this. It looks really whimsical and fun without looking cheesy. And Mara Wilson as Matilda is really charming, and you're rooting for her. It's, like I said, an underdog story. You want her to come out of this situation. Beth Davids is the actress's name, who plays Miss Honey, and she's very, very sweet. It reminds me a little bit of Rose Byrne. I thought that might be who it was for a while. but I thought that she is a good Miss Honey. She seems scared, but also very comforting and warm, the kind of thing you like for Miss Honey. And it's an enjoyable adventure. It has sort of Home Alone moments. You can tell it was made in the 90s, where, you know, sort of the hijinks and the silliness that you sometimes have, and all the adult characters are, well, and you have Danny DeVito and Rhea Perlman playing Matilda's parents, and they're horrible, but I thought they were kind of funny. It's very campy, it's very over the top, and you see Mara Wilson, we see Matilda putting glue on her dad's hat and things like that. It seems very Home Alone-y, but it's funny and it works, and I think they play up that physical comedy well, and overall, by the end, it's just really satisfying to me when you see that Matilda's in a happy place and you see the end of the story. So I think that it works. I think it's one of the most successful. I think The Witches is probably the best Roald Dahl adaptation, or I don't know, I love the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Willy Wonka movie, so maybe that's the best one, and then Witches is so good, and then this, Matilda. So there you go. But I think you really like it. Give it a shot, give it a watch, let me know what you think, and if it's too scary, you know, in moments for some of your kids. Like I said, they do go on too long with the Trunchbull. She is pretty mean, you know, throwing kids around and putting them in the chokey and everything like that. But it does make sort of the defeat of her all the more like, yeah, when she's defeated. So yeah, let me know what you think of Matilda. Do you like it? And thanks so much. Please subscribe to my channel, and I will talk to you later. Bye.